We're talking today about hiring sales ops people, and that's hiring your first sales ops person, and then as a sales ops leader, hiring the person that is working with you, your first hire. Welcome back to Sales Operations for Small Businesses. So if you are a small business owner and you have been doing all of the sales ops work yourself, you've probably been doing it at a very high level and you don't even know that there's more stuff to be looking at. I was talking to a business owner the other day that's been working out her forecast this whole time on Excel, and that's perfectly fine. It works. But when I started asking other questions, like being able to, like, she was working out the forecast based on what had happened before. So this is what you're supposed to be getting again. When I was talking about like the other resources and things like that, that can be moved, added to the forecast and different ways to look at things, she didn't have that stuff. And it's because she didn't know. There was nothing wrong with that, but you don't know what you don't know. So if you're a small business owner and you think, do you know what, it's time for me to get a sales ops person, what should you be looking for? And yes, it's somebody who can work out a forecast. It's somebody who knows how to gather enough data or gather the appropriate data in your CRM system of choice so that they can give you appropriate reporting to see what's happening with your pipeline. Someone who can read a pipeline, someone who knows the importance of a pipeline, because trust me, there are people who do not know what a pipeline is. If you're unfamiliar, please check out, there's a freebie in the library, salesopseffect.com/library, that's got the sales funnel in there. So that discusses that a little bit. So the forecast, the pipeline, somebody who can communicate that back to you. If you're in a very small business, you're probably going to want them to do a little bit of admin as well. So lead management. So where the leads are coming from, if they're coming from online, you want to make sure they're tagged appropriately because that will affect your marketing as well. You can put people all in one big bucket and just email them the same things. But if you can tag them based on where they're coming from, eventually you'll be able to tailor that email marketing series when you need to certain things. If you've got people that were watching you speak at conferences and you at least tag them with conferences, you might want to invite them to the next conference that you're going to, for example, right? Or if you have training courses like I do, if somebody is downloading a freebie, that freebie can be directly linked to one of the courses. So if you like that freebie, you're probably going to like this course, you know? So somebody who's managing that lead journey, because again, as a small business owner, I was talking to one lady a little while ago. She kept being in situations where she didn't have a way to note down leads properly. So she was basically writing people's details on Post-it notes and putting them all around her monitor. And then she ended up having an email from somebody in like 3 weeks later, basically saying they were disappointed that this lady hadn't gotten in touch because they were asking for their help. They were willing to give her money to teach her how to speak and be better at media. And that's not because that business owner didn't care or didn't want the business. It's because they've got too many hats on that they're wearing at the same time. So having a system which says when you get a lead, that lead goes directly in, even if you have, because you know what it's like, you've got apps on your phone that lead directly to Salesforce or Pipedrive or HubSpot or any of the CRMs, right? Even Monday.com probably has one where that routine of when you get a lead, you put their information directly into the system and the system will automatically set up a reminder. Things like that and setting up things like that, that will seem like a lot for you to do as a business owner because you're doing so many other things. But to a sales ops person, that's just normal. That's just normal because when it comes through like that, you'll be able to track it and things. So lead, forecast, pipeline, your general reporting. And, you know, if you're getting a sales ops person, they might be able to do a bit of marketing as well, but don't necessarily push it. If you're getting somebody who does this on the side, you're not fully employing them, then that might be enough to start working with, right? If you're going to be fully employing somebody, there'll be a ton of stuff that you'll need to do, a ton of stuff. There'll be projects that they'll need to basically just clean up and make exist. So structures that need to exist, things that need to be written down for salespeople. So that's a question as well. If you only have one salesperson, which is you, the business owner, then your sales ops person is probably just going to be doing that background stuff. If you have other salespeople, then you're going to need somebody to be writing down the processes and things like that so that everybody knows what they're supposed to be following. What are your sales stages and what do they mean? And what is the exit criteria for you to go from one stage to another stage? Do things have to be reviewed? Is that automatically set up in the system? Can people jump the system? How do they jump the system and why? There's so many different tiny projects that you would need somebody to work on that I'll talk about this in another episode, but there does come a point when you do have salespeople where I know of a company as well where they've got 15 salespeople, no sales ops person. And I was talking to one of the salespeople and they just said, oh, well, the project management team just deal with all of that kind of stuff. And I'm thinking, you realize it's not the project management team's job, right? Like they have a job and they're doing that on the side, because if they don't sort out all of the other stuff to do with sales on the side, then sales will basically start selling things that don't exist. True story. I've had that before where a salesperson just started selling things that didn't exist. And they had to be dealt with by the project team and operations team afterwards. And they didn't even get a slap on the wrist by the boss because that boss was a weak boss. So that's one thing to think about there. When you are a sales operations leader yourself, so you were the first hire in an organization, I would very strongly say, and this goes to the sales business owner as well, you have to look at things from a people, process, and technology point of view. You can split this up into lots of different other ways, like strategy, for example, could be under process, or it could be something that's bigger for you, because you could then split it up to strategy and operations, for example. But generally speaking, people, process, and technology. And you hire for your weakness. You hire for the part that you are not good at. You don't take something that you are already very good at and then find somebody else to replace that, because you can probably do it faster. But if you're not good at the tech and the tech needs doing, then even though that person has the exact same things on their role as somebody else, if you know when you're interviewing them that their focus is on the tech and the tech is what's most important, go for the tech. It might seem like you need a more balanced person, but if that's what you need, that's what you need right now, and then you can grow in the future. So as a sales ops leader, if you can't do the tech, find somebody who can do the tech. If you have somebody who's very good at project management skills, they are always valuable. You can't have enough people who know how to organize things and do things efficiently, as long as they're also people who can do the things. If they're only people who can organize and can't do any of the doing, then for a small business, that's not going to be helpful. In a large business, very helpful, because there's always other people to do the doing. But you need somebody who is efficient and can also fiddle with some tech, has communication skills to be able to speak to people and understand things that they're unclear of. And if you are a sales ops person whose title is sales ops, but really what your job is a CRM manager, chances are you need somebody who has the project management and people skills. Because what you've been doing is building everything in the system. And there's a chance, I'm sorry, but there's a chance that you haven't been communicating out well what the expectations are for everybody, or often enough. Because there's the delivering of a project, which is creating something new in a system or connecting one system to another. And then there's the delivering of the change. And change has to be communicated repeatedly before, during, and afterwards so that people know where they are. Like we've heard it before, somebody has to hear something 7 times in order for them to believe it, for it to, really settle in. And it's really important, because there was one incident with a company that I was working with where, I won't go into too many details, but basically the head of sales before wasn't fond of people updating the system when they felt like it, as in just as and when. They could only update it like once every 2 weeks. Long story. But it took, I think, roughly 9 months later, there was still one salesperson asking, and are you sure we can just do this when we need to? Like when we finished a meeting, we can just come back and do this. And it takes so much reassurance to re-embed or embed in the first place something new into people. So you being a CRM manager, you could be great at all of that tech, but the people side, You don't know what you don't know. So don't, just push it away because you don't think it's as important. And particularly because with our job, nearly everything online only talks about the tech. It hardly ever talks about the fact that you have to manage upwards and sideways. You end up having to manage the sales managers to a degree. It doesn't talk about anything like that and the skills like that. So those are a few pointers when it comes to hiring. You really do have to look around at the whole structure. On salesopseffect.com/library, there's the sales operations role model that might help you because that's got all of the tasks and activities you can expect to do as sales operations in a small business. And so I go through all of that. And there's a course that supports that as well. But that's a freebie on the library. So that's worth looking at because what you can do, because this is what I did, is find those role models online. And then you basically adapt it to the business that you're working in, because not all businesses need all of those activities doing. And some of those activities won't actually sit in sales operations. So don't go trying to take activities from other people. You're too busy. If somebody else is handling something, let them, short of them doing a hideous job of it, right? So if in your business, you don't have anything at all to do with marketing, fantastic. You just ignore that bit and you focus on your bit and you just remodel it. And then once you can see what your world looks like, then that's when you can assess, do you know what? I really don't enjoy this bit, usually because I'm not very good at it, or it takes too long. I need a professional who can do this faster than me. And there's lots of people out there and the help is there. So please do go to look, do not suffer in silence. And that's my message for that. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'd love to have a discussion on this and I'll speak to you soon.